Hi, my name is Yolanda, and this is my visual rhetorical analysis of the film Nine. The film Nine, directed by American director Shane Acker, may seem like a simple dystopian story about survival, but rhetorically it constructs a warning about technology, war, and ethical responsibility. By analyzing both the text and context, I argue that Nine uses symbolism, visuals, and emotional storytelling to show that technology without ethics leads to destruction, while human qualities like curiosity, courage, and empathy are essential for survival. So, first, I wanted to look at the text itself. From what we see, the world of Nine is dark, lifeless, and very much destroyed. The color scheme that Shane Acker uses is mostly gray and brown, which creates a feeling of death and hopelessness overall. And according to Selnow, visual rhetoric shows how images communicate deeper ideological meaning. In this case, the monotone colors do not just set the mood, but construct a world where life, warmth, and humanity have been stripped away, reinforcing the idea that technological destruction leads to emptiness and loss. In addition, we can apply notes from our lecture and Rebecca about the language of analysis to understand how Nine creates meaning. As we see the film's pace changes throughout the story. When Nine first wakes up and explores the ruined world, the slower pace allows us to focus on the emptiness and destruction around him. But during scenes like the attack from the cat beast, or when the fabrication machine, Brain, is going after 9, 5, and 7, the pace becomes much faster, which builds tension and a sense of danger. Additionally, the idea of senselessness also fits here because the film uses dark colors, smoke, and loud mechanical noises to make the world feel cold and lifeless. So, overall, these elements help create a strong feeling of fear and suspense for the audience. One important scene that really supports this idea is when Nine watches a video the scientist left behind for him, where he explains that the machine was meant to be an instrument of progress and creation. However, it was hopelessly flawed and dangerous, for it lacked the human soul and could be easily corrupted by those who control it. And is the reason why he created the Stitch Punks, as they are all what's left of humanity, each carrying a piece of his soul. This was set at 1 hour and 2 minutes and 34 seconds in. So through this, the film shows that the machine was created with intelligence, but without empathy or any morality. At first, the machine appears harmless and non-threatening, but once the Chancellor takes control of it, it becomes powerful and destructive. Symbolism is especially important in this scene because the Stitchpunks represent different human traits, such as curiosity for 9, empathy for 5, and courage for 7, to name a few. And in contrast, the machine represents destruction and dangerous technology that lacks these human qualities. Thus, this scene suggests that without ethics, technology can easily be manipulated, misused, and lead to destruction, while human qualities are essential for survival and can help restore our world. We know this because at the end of the movie, the remaining Stitch Punks 9, 7, 3, and 4 are able to defeat Brain, while the rest of the Stitch Punk souls are released. Lastly, according to Foss, how we perceive what we know, what we experience, and how we act are the results of the symbols we create and the symbols we encounter in the world. Page 3. So, as audiences watch these visuals, they actively interpret their meaning, which reinforces the film's warning about the consequences of technological power. So, when it comes to the immediate context, to fully understand the meaning of 9, we can apply our lecture's idea from Dr. Bell that meaning is shaped by the interaction between the author, the material, the audience, and the social context. This means that meaning does not just exist in the film itself, but it is created through how audiences interpret it based on their own experiences and the cultural moment in which they view it. When looking at the immediate context, I found that the film was released worldwide and it was heavily marketed for its September 9, 2009 release. And it was intended for a younger audience as it was rated PG-13, especially those familiar with dystopian films. And I believe the film relied on its audience already having some sort of awareness and concerns of the risks of technology. which allowed the film to build its argument without over explaining. Now, when looking at the broad context, Rybacki explains that films provide a way of visualizing the past, gaining insight into the present, and speculating about the future. Page 205. The broad context of Nine reflects mid-2000s fears in the US about technology, war, and human survival. During the time the film was being made, around 2006 to 2009, people were becoming more worried that technological advancements could become dangerous if not controlled. This is reflected in the film through Brain, the fabrication machine that turned against humanity. At the same time, the story also connects to political concerns about war and government power, especially when considering that this movie was being made during the height of the Iraq War around 2007, a time when the US started depending more on advanced military technology, which raised concerns about control, power, and potential misuse. In Nine, the government's decision to turn the scientist's invention into a weapon shows how authority can misuse technology for destruction. And these ideas are seen through the film's post-apocalyptic setting, where we see destroyed buildings, broken machines, scattered debris, polluted skies, and landscapes with no sign of human life. Altogether, the film reflects a cultural moment where people were deeply concerned about the consequences of human progress and the possibility of self-destruction, whether through war, technology, or human error. Now, in the context of today, we live in a world where people heavily rely on technology, especially AI, often without fully thinking about the consequences. And as we know, AI is replacing human workers and taking jobs, straining our water resources, and threatening people's privacy. And as it continues to grow and become more powerful, there's growing concerns about whether humans will always be able to control it, or if it could one day take over. So, that being said, I would say that director Shane Acker was very effective in his argument because the combination of powerful visuals, symbolic characters, and emotional storytelling gave the audience a clear message that technological progress without human values can lead to destruction. The film doesn't just tell us this straight up, that technology can be dangerous. Instead, we see this through the contrast between the machines and the stitchpunks. And this argument is also highly relevant and important for us as a culture today. As mentioned, our society has become increasingly dependent on technology, especially with the rise of AI. So the concerns presented in Nine feel more real than ever. And the film encourages audiences to reflect on the ethical responsibilities that come with new technology, reminding us that progress without moral values can have serious consequences. So ultimately, by analyzing both the text and context of the film, we can see that Nine is not just a dystopian story, but a warning about the relationship between humanity and technology. And if you listen to my entire presentation, you will have learned that this film is not just entertainment, but a powerful rhetorical tool that helps us think about the future of our world. In the end, Nine reminds us that what makes us human matters, and that may be the key to saving ourselves. Thank you. These are my references.